Hello everyone and welcome into the Lore Council. This is Cade today doing a solo video, bringing to you the sequel to our previous video of Flaming Hot Star Wars takes, and today we have Burning Hot Star Wars takes. Will they be offensive? Will they be agreeable? Stick around and find out. And the first one I think is going to be fairly controversial, and that I am sick and tired of the sequels hate train. I got off it, a couple years ago. And yeah, I don't like these movies. We'll preface this with saying that I don't enjoy the sequels. But you don't need to devote every second of every day to disliking these movies. You don't need to be making post after post after post after post and video after video and video and video and video after video talking about how much you dislike the sequels and how you don't like what they did, you don't like what they did with Luke Skywalker, you don't like Rey, you don't like Finn, you don't like Rose, you don't like Poe, you don't like Finn, you don't like Snoke, you don't like Palpatine, you don't like Kylo, you don't like Leia, you don't like Han, you don't like Holdo, anyone, we get it, you don't like it. But that does not mean you need to just continuously spout off that you hate these movies and that they're very poorly made and whatever, because that's a very subjective opinion, and you holding yourself up there and saying, oh, these movies had no plan, these movies suck, these movies are so badly written. It's like, yeah, I don't like the movies, and there's a right and a wrong way to criticize them. And especially if you're one of the person who complains about forced diversity or women being in Star Wars or people of color being in Star Wars, then just shut the hell up, because no one cares what you have to think. Bigotry, racism, sexism, homophobia, etc. It's all pointless, and it only serves to make you look like a dick and give people who don't like the sequels a really, really bad name. Why do you think that for years, people who dislike the sequels are lumped in with people like that? Because we still have a constant stream of sequel hate going on 3 years on down the road now. And it's just, it's over. They're made. There's nothing you can do. You're not going to make them decanonized or anything, no matter how many bogus videos you make, no matter how many, air quotes, rumors or truths that Dave Filoni's going to be put in charge. Like, yeah, I don't like it. I wish that someone who appreciated Legends or something was at the helm of Lucasfilm and would be releasing more stuff. But you know what? Sitting there and blaming Kathleen Kennedy for everything in your life that's gone wrong in the past 7-8 years, it's just getting kind of old. We get it. Like, yeah, she's not the ideal person to be in charge, but, I don't know anything about picking a person. And, yeah, she said a couple dumb things, and if you want to get upset about that instead of just moving on with it, fine. But that would be my first take. I'm sick of the sequel/canon hate train, especially coming from my fellow Expanded Universe, from my fellow Legends fans, because you're only serving to make us look bad. Just move on with it. Make content about Legends. Make content about the EU. Make content about that kind of stuff. You don't need to devote yourself and your channels and everything to hating the sequels. And I've gotten a bit long-winded with this one, so we will end it. And moving on to point number 2, this one going back and kind of circling around to Legends. Dave Filoni is not the savior of Legends. He's not, anybody special who's, bringing Legends back. He's not bringing Legends back. He's not making it canon. He is making different versions of characters from Legends canon, which is, if you're into that, if you're into Rebels and stuff like that, fine, whatever. Great. But I don't think he ever really respected the Expanded Universe, especially considering once he got the Clone Wars out there, he really started to kind of get a bit choppy with the continuity of the Expanded Universe, and so he got to have his own canon level in the hierarchy of canon, which was above everything except the movies, because he's a widow special snowflake whose story is more important than anybody else's. So so that's kind of my opinion on Dave Filoni. I think he's a hack. I don't think he respected the Expanded Universe at all. He took bits and pieces of it and completely trampled over others, completely trampled on the original 2003 Clone Wars, which can't exist in the same time frame as the 2008 Clone Wars. They're completely different right from the beginning. Adding in Ahsoka was pointless because I feel she takes away from Anakin's development he's supposed to get during the war. And contrary to what people are going to be saying on the internet, and it's one of the things that I hate seeing spouted off and off and off, The Clone Wars is not a dark show. It's not some dark, gritty Saving Private Ryan, Hacksaw Ridge movie or anything. It is a kid's show. And there's nothing wrong with, as an adult, a grown-up teenager, whatever, enjoying stuff that's made for children. I mean, you can look at any, superhero animated shows. There's a lot of really good ones. The Batman one, the Spider-Man one, the X-Men one. All these really cool stuff that has come out previously, you can still enjoy this stuff as an adult. But to say it's so dark and so gritty compared to anything else in Star Wars is just kind of taking the piss, I guess, considering... every once in a while you'll see a decapitation or Anakin force choking someone or Pong Krell making clones shoot each other, which I guess, could be considered dark, but, so many people hold this up as the Saving Private Ryan of Star Wars, and it's so grim, and it's so cool and edgy and grown up, and I would just completely disagree with that, but that's a little side note, because I'm not done talking about Mr. Dave Filoni and his goofy cowboy hats. But no, it's just, he has said in interviews that, he didn't really care about the expanded universe. He, kind of wanted to do his own thing, which, is totally fine. It's just, why don't you find someone who's going to actually respect what Lucasfilm licensing has been putting out for the past, nearly 20 years, which I won't personally ever understand, being a big fan of the original 2003 Clone Wars and of the expanded universe leading up to the Clone Wars. And even after, there's still some good stuff that came out, just not really in that Clone Wars time period. So with that, I guess the main point of this one is Dave Filoni's not that great, and I got a little side jab in at the 2008 Clone Wars, which is, in my opinion, pretty overhyped. And yeah, if you grew up with it, I'm sure it's awesome to be able to see it again and stuff. So definitely not taking away anything from your enjoyment. It's just I personally feel like it's overhyped, and people misattribute stuff to it. So moving onward to the next one, which again might seem a little bit pointless, a little bit dumb, but I think that Star Wars Theory is probably one of the worst Star Wars YouTube channels there is. He doesn't present anything outrageous. He reports on baseless slander and baseless rumors. If you look through his channel, you'll see his history of posting videos of Kathleen Kennedy out of power at Lucasfilm, Dave Filoni being put in, why Dave Filoni should be put in, and just his clickbait videos in general. He's gotten bits of lore here and there wrong. He just, in general, doesn't seem to be able to take criticism. And just the fact that he had a live debate debating why people like the sequels. And yeah, I sat through and I watched it. And to me, that just seems so pointless. And I guess I would say mean-spirited, regardless of if they were friendly civil debates or not. I think that he's doing a lot more to harm the Star Wars community than he is to bring it up and empower it. You see stuff like when his Vader fan film, which isn't good, by the way, it is not, got flagged and demonetized or whatever it was for copyright. People in droves, little soldier ants, just went and just would go and just bother, harass, and everything Lucasfilm. And yeah, I think it's kind of, dumb that he's more or less, in a roundabout way, not directly, obviously, making money from a Star Wars fan film. I think that's a little stupid. He can say that, well, it's not crowdfunded, but the fact that, he's got a Patreon set up and he's making money from this, the money that funded this came from the fans. It's not like he, fronted everything himself, and, even if he did, it's still not that great. And yeah, it's fun to do that stuff. If I had the means, I would probably do it as well. But then you have his kind of, I guess, fan base who then hold this fan film up as if, well, this is better than the Star Wars sequels. It's not, though. It's not. It's really not good. And I'm not going to harp on his fan film. It's a fan film, obviously. So I won't sit there and harp on it. But just the fact that, he's got a fan base that is so rabid that they will take this goofy fan film and hold it up as Hollywood quality. To me, it's a little goofy, and like I had mentioned earlier, his clickbait video thumbnails and video titles, his theories, which I guess would be kind of the point of his stuff, are kind of just a little overblown. Why is there a hour-long content of what if Darth Maul trained Anakin? Couldn't you just fit that in like 10 minutes? I don't know. It's whatever. I understand that our videos can be overblown as well and overlong and bloated and stuff, but it's just some of those things I get just, for me personally, I can't stand him. Like, yeah, I'm sure he's like a fairly nice enough guy and whatever. It's just he has this legion, I would say, of really toxic fans who, as soon as he reports on someone, they take it as fact, or they, an event, if he reports on something, they take it as fact, and then they circulate it, and it's just a huge misinformation ring, and, he'll make a response to someone, and then you go on there, on that person's video that he's making a response to, and it's all Star Wars theory fans just absolutely going rabid. And to me, it just seems very, very pointless, and I don't think I've ever seen him try and rein this in or anything. So, with that, I just a couple reasons why I can't stand Star Wars theory. And yeah, I guess moving on from that one, we'll get into something maybe a little less negative. Who knows? But actually, before I move on to this, we actually have a couple videos discussing some content on Star Wars Theory's channel, so I will have those linked in the description as well, so you can give those a check. And moving on from there, again, this is going to be a bit more of a controversial one, and again, I will preface this with, I'm not a prequel, or I'm not a sequels fan. But saying that the sequels are bad because they weren't, planned out and storyboarded and whatever, lots of, stuff is then you would have to turn around and say the exact same thing about the OT, because Lucas was flying by his pants in those movies. We have stuff like Obi-Wan saying that Anakin and Vader were different people. And yeah, of course, George Lucas can say, oh, they were always actually meant to be the same person. I may have went a little too far in some places. But, we can tell, George, he'll say whatever his meds are telling him to say that day. And we have stuff like the siblings kiss, and yeah, you can say, oh, they didn't know that they were actually siblings yet, so it's totally okay that they had a Sweet Home Alabama moment. And then, of course, that gets figured out in the next movie, which it was never the original idea from Lucas that Luke and Leia were going to be siblings. I believe in episode 6, Luke was going to find his real sibling. And then, of course, we have I don't know if it was ever 100% planned. I can't find any perfect thing. I know Mark Hamill's talked about it, where at the end of 6, Luke was going to put on Vader's helmet, and he was going to become Darth Vader now. And of course, Vader was never really meant to be Luke's father. That was the thing that came up with Empire Strikes Back. So big point here, and by no means am I disparaging the OT. It's the best Star Wars trilogy. It's amazing. It's my favorite. I love it. But to criticize the sequels for not being planned, then you also have to turn around and do the same for the OT. And it doesn't matter if the end result was any better. If you're using that as a point to criticize something, then you're going to have to look at all the other parts of Star Wars that weren't planned out as well. So that's my little PSA on that one, and my 4th hot take. And for my 5th and final one here, we have my, kind of opinion, my idea that there is no such thing as a, air quotes, real Star Wars fan. If you like the Star Wars movie, you're a fan of Star Wars. And I think you can go from there and get a bit more meticulous. And if you like the new canon stuff they're putting out, you could say, yeah, I'm a fan of the new Star Wars canon. I'm a canon fan. And you could say I'm a Legends fan. I'm an Expanded Universe fan. I'm a fan of the video games. I'm whatever. But all these fall under the blanket term of Star Wars fan. Everybody started off at the same thing. We had the movies. That's what our, came out in the 70s and 80s. And then the early 2000s, and then the 2010s. So that is what makes you a Star Wars fan. And yeah, you can not like some of the movies. That's totally fine. Like in any big franchise, there are going to be things that you like and things you dislike. For example, I'm a Terminator fan. I pretty much only like the first 3 Terminators, and after that, it went kind of downhill. There are people who are fans of the Aliens franchise, and they are, not going to like some of the films in that, the Friday the 13th, all that stuff. You do not have to like everything or a certain thing to be a fan of a franchise. I'm a Marvel fan, but I don't read X-Force, let's say. I don't read the current Avengers. I read my, little group of stuff. And so I would never say that I'm a, super in-depth, hardcore Marvel geek or anything, but I would say that I'm a fan of Marvel. And the same thing applies for Star Wars, and that's kind of my last little hot take for this video, is that, you know, there's no point in calling yourself a real fan, someone else a fake fan. It's all pointless. I guess the only thing I would say that would qualify someone as a fake fan is if they are speaking on things that they have no experience of. And they're saying stuff, you know, like, oh, I'm such a great Jedi fan because they use both the light and dark side of the Force, and they're completely separate in the great Jedi code and everything. If you're kind of spreading that kind of, you know, fan fiction information, then yeah, I would say, you know, then you're straying into, I guess, a bit of like a, air quotes, fake fan kind of ideology. But overall, especially when it applies to Star Wars, I would say if you like the movies, if you even like some of the movies, you're a fan of Star Wars, you're a fan of the original trilogy, you're a fan of the prequels, you're whatever. You're a fan of Star Wars just as a franchise, and that's totally fine. You know, using things like hardcore, casual fan, they're kind of pointless to me, and they can be used a little bit to, like, you know, say, oh yeah, I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan. I've got, you know, the original VHS box set, I've got all the posters, I've got 100 action figures, I've got 4 replica lightsabers, I've got all this stuff, and, you know, yeah, then, yeah, you know, you're probably a bit more hardcore. And at the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a casual fan of something. If you just like the Star Wars movies and say, like, The Mandalorian, and that's it, you know, that's totally fine. You know, the term casual fan, I don't think should be a negative connotation with it, but obviously when douchebags online use it that way, you know, that's kind of where it gets it, and then people get defensive. So, you know, we all exist under the umbrella of Star Wars fans, and there's no point in, like, trying to call each other out and say that one thing is the definitive Star Wars and whatever, because you can even ask George Lucas, what would his definitive Star Wars be? Well, probably the special editions of 4, 5, 6, and then the prequels. You know, that would be it. So you're going to get a different thing on the definitive Star Wars for each person you ask, so it's pointless to try and hold up what you like and say, this is the definitive Star Wars. And with that flaming hot take, we are done here for now. You know, if you agree or disagree with any of these, you know, we can have a discussion down in the comments. You know, I don't mind. I like talking about my points of view. I like seeing other people's opposing points of view as well and having discussions with them. It's very fun. It's one of the fun parts of being in a fan community. So whatever your hot takes, your cold takes, your takes on Star Wars, just anything like that, leave it down in the comments below, and we can hopefully have a fun dialogue. And speaking of dialogues, the channel has a official Twitter. That'll be down in the description as well. So as always, guys, if you like this video, drop it a like and drop a subscribe to the channel. Especially, we are trying to grow. I think just today, actually, I noticed we're up to 70 subscribers, so we're nearly to 100. So that's really great. We're growing slowly, bit by bit. And with that, guys, this is Cade from the Lore Council signing off.